associated with the fashion industry, and he's worked with brands like Versace, Bombay Sapphire, Bulgari, Coca-Cola, Google, Melissa, Moleskine, Park Hyatt, Cartel, Vogue, to name a few. Otherwise, I think we'll keep going on with this. Thank you, Francesca. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me here.
Mr. Samir Srivastava, who's also Chief Executive Officer of Jean Claude Begin Salon and Spa in India.
Hi, guys.
Comes with 22 years of experience in global luxury brands and multinational conglomerates. He's won various awards, just to name a few: L'Oreal's IHA Award, Elle Beauty Awards, and the recent one being Economic Times Award. Prior to Mr. Srivastava was the Executive Officer at VLCC and also the Vice President and Head for Kaya Skill Clinic in the Middle East. Hello, Mr. Srivastava.
Hi, thanks, guys.
Mr. Gaurav Arora, who's also the founder and CEO of Enhance Hospitality. He's the India representative of most of the global luxury hotels and tourism bureaus and travel tech companies. He has been associated in the past with global hotel chains like Marriott, Hilton, and Shangri-La. Mr. Arora, welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Shoaib. It's a pleasure being on this webinar. Thank you.
Right. Joining from Paris, France is Ms. Megha Malagatti. She's the Business Development Director with L'Oreal Paris, and she's previously worked with an iconic brand. One of my favorites is Estée Dupont as a Marketing Director. Hello, Megha. Megha, can you hear us?
Sorry, I was on mute. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Right, so we'll begin with the crux of what the panel is all about. We'll try and make it a bit different than the rest of the panels, and due respect everybody, but here is the idea, is the perspective that the panelists and the experts kind of come with. With due respect, and we all know our given condition and the absence of beauty products, I'm sure we've all become quite aesthetically unrecognizable. I'm sure everybody will agree with me. We look a bit better today, but overall it's a mess, but yeah. Having said that, Megha, the beauty segment is one of the key contributors and pillars of the luxury industry. Given this fact, it is anticipated that in the luxury segment, the beauty sector will be one of the segments that will perform and cope up better. What is your standpoint on this narrative?
Just to give a small background, Shoaib, of the beauty sector in India, it's a market which is valued at around $14 billion in India, which is very small compared to US. Just the in-store sales in US in beauty happens of about, it's about 37 billion, and the whole China is around $150 billion in beauty products. So comparatively, we are still a very, very small market in India when it comes to the beauty products. And since now we have in the past 10 years, Estée Lauder, brands such as Estée Lauder who's come in, which belong to the luxury sector of the market, I think India has moved into one step ahead to tap into the luxury aspect of beauty industry. And over here, if you look at the way it has been shaping even for L'Oreal is very different. For us at L'Oreal, India has become one of the most important emerging countries where, you don't have to really rely on one particular consumer. That is, usually it was the Chinese consumers that we were heavily dependent on. And now people are looking at countries like India and Africa to move ahead with. So talking about this and, about the COVID context, yes, beauty products are extremely essential for an individual. If you want to, as you said, aesthetically look good on a daily basis, and also to take care of oneself, to make sure that your skin is nourished and kept in a proper way. It's your daily routine that you have. So in that aspect, yes, definitely, it's an industry that, for me personally, it's an industry that you enter into the luxury part, because when you look at the pricing of the beauty products, it's anywhere between, $10 to $20, I would say, $20 to $100, $200, $300 of products. While when you want to buy a bag of Louis Vuitton or a shoes of Louis Vuitton, it starts from $500,000, which is probably the next level of luxury. So I think India currently is definitely at that level where we are open to accepting most of the beauty products into our daily use. And this is where brands like Lancôme YSL, Armani, or Helena Rubinstein. So all of them really take a huge part. And this is, whether it's COVID or no COVID, I think people still want to buy the lipsticks. They still want to buy the mascaras. I have my friends over here, even in Paris, asking me, how can I get a mascara because I'm running out of it. I don't have an eyeliner anymore. So it's something that will always continue.
I will kind of come back to you in regards to what are the brands that you feel that are more competent in India, because you got a basket of brands, and you got
yes, we have 32 brands at L'Oreal. Yes,
all of them are available in India. That's we'll come back to that if we have the
sure.
We were reading about something which is very interesting, since you bring up that India as a market, but overall India and the global perspective. Okay, we were looking at, I was reading an article. It said that L'Oreal is set to kind of launch something called at-home gadget called Perso, right?
Yes.
And which is supposedly due to launch in 21. I do not know whether it has been delayed or no. If you could elaborate that, and I'll just add on to the question that one, if you could elaborate what is Perso overall, why is this initiative called the Game Changer, and is it going to ease the operational burden, create more visibility on the industry perspective, and penetrate more with your brands? Is it limited to just one or two brands or to the L'Oreal umbrella completely? And whether it will create a new hygiene method?
I can probably give you a little bit of sneak peek into it. Yes, since it's an ongoing project at L'Oreal.
Perso.
Yes. So talking about technology, I think at L'Oreal, we really are the pioneers in terms of bringing innovation and newness into the market. So definitely, it's been since years that we have an R&D section in the company, which is run by Mr. Nicolas Hieronymus, who is going to be the next CEO after Jean-Paul Legault at L'Oreal over here in Paris. And one of the favorite topics is to bring innovation and technology usage into the beauty industry. So over here, and this is the reason there is an initiative that we also started. It was started by Mr. Jean-Paul Legault, which is called Sharing Beauty with All. So Sharing Beauty with All is all about how to be sustainable in terms of developing your products. And Perso is one of the technologies that falls into this basket 100% because it's totally sustainable. It has a mind of its own because it's based on AI.
Exactly is Perso? What exactly?
Yes, it's based on AI, on artificial intelligence. So combining the AI and the technology of personalization, and that's hence the name Perso, personalization of a cream or a lipstick or a foundation to your own skin is something that really it's a genius. So it also takes care of the quality of the air around you. It takes care of the temperature, your skin pH level, and it constantly learns and updates itself to make sure that as the temperature changes, as your skin changes, the creams also adapt by themselves.
So in a nutshell, you're saying that it's a machine that I can actually install it in my house. I can look at it, it adapts, it takes some photographs, understands the skin texture, and et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
I'm not getting the nitty-gritties. And then it'll kind of produce a product which is suitable for me to customize. That's what you're saying. Yes.
So instead of having a bottled cream, for example, in a hand, you have 3 little dots that ooze out the perfect combination that is good for your skin.
Is it specific to any gender, or it can actually produce a dearth of kind of products inside?
It's for all skin types.
All skin types. So, I mean, if I want,
Of course. Now, again, the foundation, it really depends. For your skin cream, it's very easy because it's a cream. But then when foundation is in true light, then you have to have different combinations of shades.
I think, we can actually add Samir a little later on, and you can add on to what is his, limitation when it comes to these kind of things, especially when everything is actually shut. We'll come back to that. Just a quick question, because, we got to move on a little faster. With the retailers and large format stores shutting down or deferred in delay in openings, you feel that given the nature of products, an online business could actually cover up whatever the losses that you've had versus the offline channels? Or perhaps there could be a change in strategy wherein you could push for more online, you could push for your directly operated stores or via salons and spas. Could that impact the way that you shift? And are you ready operationally and financially to take that move?
On the online business, we are definitely ready because L'Oreal has been one of the companies that again has been in the online sector since many years. And in terms of online business, I would say it's only one way of moving forward. It's a platform which substitutes to an in-store shopping experience that is not available today because of the COVID reasons. So yes, it will definitely help for us to capitalize on the online e-commerce to push sales. However, it's not going to replace the in-store experience for sure in the long term.
What do you do when you do not have that experience available for quite some, and there could be a possibility that the trends change? Because
Yes.
it's an habit and it kind of, it's an ease. Once, especially in India, once you know that it's okay, experiential luxury anyways is a small little issue in our country right now. And globally, of course, some of the countries are still struggling with it. So do you think that actually it can replace, and is it possible for high-end brands like the products that you have, which are segmented in terms of the entry price, and then you got the iconic products, will that kind of affect your operational and financial visibility?
Again, there is a part of business that's definitely viable to e-commerce, I would say, in terms of when you know your skincare routine, when you know what creams are using, you know the fragrances, it's very easy to buy such kind of products on an e-commerce platform. But then when it comes to makeup, for example, when you want to buy a foundation or a lipstick, which is very personal to your skin color and skin tone, it's usually where you have to test the product. So definitely in terms of e-commerce, there will be different ways of selling these products online. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then maybe, there would be a small batch of testers that would be sent to your home, which would be a personalized testers. And then you can use it, you can order it, you can use it. And then if you like it, you buy it. So there, of course, there will be, sorry?
Yeah. Sorry to cut you short, but I have another question, but we'll come back if we have the time. Specifically, the idea of testers. We'll come back. We have.
Sure.
I'm going to quickly move on to the most anticipated as well as the speculated segment, Mr. Francesco. Having said that, now the most celebrated and awaited marketing event of any fashion brand and showcasing products is on a ramp, right? Namely the fashion show, correct? There has been a halt on the way the fashion show has been recently done, and there's a temporary setback on the whole situation. Going forward, you think technology can replace that? There could be online versions of the fashion show, this live streaming, that's what we're talking about recently. And do you think that the brands will actually take an opportunity here and cut cost? What do you think about this entire terminology?
Yeah, ciao Shoaib, hello everyone. Yes, technology definitely play an important role in this situation. I mean, even if you consider the situation right now, we are connected from different parts of the world. So definitely supporting us, our daily life changed completely. So if you ask me a few months ago, are you willing, Francesco, to stay hours and hours on Zoom meeting call, or maybe doing, I don't know, a workout to a digital trainer in, I don't know, in Instagram, I would say, no, definitely doesn't work with our life. But I would say that this kind of situation allow us to rethink about our life and breathe 1 second, and also look at the technology in a different way. So coming back to your question, technology definitely will support this fantastic market event that is Fashion Week. In fact, during the next June Fashion Week, it's going to be in Paris, London, and Milan. Unfortunately, it's not going to be physical. It's going to be all digital. So basically through a platform, through technologies, there is a possibility for people of the sector to follow the fashion show, but also doing some more detailed activity. For instance, what comes into my mind is fashion buying. For example, there is no possibility for buyer to travel from one country to another. So the digital showroom definitely is a good solution in terms of business to support fashion show. Then I guess there are also additional content like, I don't know, behind the scene of fashion show webinar, details of product and so on. But I think, yeah, in terms of fashion show, is not a very big deal because we used to broadcast fashion shows online already. But in terms of buying session, I think is a good achievement. The question at the moment is how many brands, from my point of view, will participate officially to this event, to this online event. Because I heard about already Valentino and Saint Laurent. They're not gonna attend this event. They will skip this, let's say, officially schedule of Digital Fashion Week for something that is in a way more customized according to their vision. So that's I think the big changing nowadays in the industry. So a kind of fashion revolution in which the objective, in a way, of the design process is aligned more with the people needs and not with the market deadline. So that is kind of allow us to think things in a different way.
Okay, so you brought in a very interesting point, which is basically was supposedly anyway you were supposed to address that, but since you bring it in, fashion show, fine, you know, it can be managed, and you very importantly said the buying is an issue. Okay, because if you do not have the merchandisers or the buyers coming on board, look and feel, they might go wrong, and there is already an issue with the pipeline being choked in terms of, you know, wrong buying or buying which is not adhering to the fact of the demographic requirements. You just kind of go by with gut feeling. That's one of the issues that you've rightly, as I said, and I think Megha also, you know, commented on how it is going to transform into online. So I think that's right. And you also mentioned that some of the fashion shows, some of the brands are being opting out from the fashion shows. I think Mr. Sinha and Saurav should also agree with me that we've got a similar issue in the watch industry, timepiece industry, which is called Basel. We'll come back to that. That, you know, people are actually, the brands are putting out from that kind of a segment. Now, coming to buying, Francesco, we all know the importance of seasonality, which is what we've been following as a protocol completely. It's time, just like we're going to stop the fashion show as a term, and it's not going to be a marketing campaign. It can be online, it can be digitalized. Do you think it's wise to now come up with an all season or a universal collection rather than, you know, producing some and then, you know, kind of phasing it out? We still have an inventory that is there in balance, and then come up with a new one and create a burden, and some of them skip. Do you think all season or a universal collection now makes a lot of sense?
Look, there is a common movement nowadays related to the fact that the fashion system must slow down and realign itself with season, realign with itself not with the retail timeline, but with the customer needs. So design less collection, more sustainability, less unaccessory product. The idea is always to provide newness in the market, but also giving the time to some product to create desire. I think that's also the direction of a lot of designers. I read an open letter of Giorgio Armani to WWD talking about reconnect the fashion show to the season. For instance, autumn and winter again in winter, and spring and summer in summer. So I'm sure most of you, I mean, before this crisis, if you work in the fashion district, for instance, if I work in Monte Napoleone in summer, on the window display you just see, for example, a coat or fur when outside is 40 degrees. So you see, there is something that really doesn't work in this system. So I think it's an incredible moment for designer, because through this strategy, it's evident the fact that the design was following completely the needs of the market. Now there is a huge possibility of changing, and changing means listen more the customer, listen more the needs of the people and what they really need to what they really need. So I'm actually give you a number. Before the coronavirus, let's say, the fashion industry produced somewhere like 80 billion to 150 billion garment per year on a population that is more or less 7.8 billion inhabitants. So the question is, consider all these, let's say, fashion obsession of Generation X, Generation Z, and millennials to buy, collect and resell eventually item, limited edition products, special collection. Do we really need all this stuff? I mean, do we really need all of these, I mean, off-white shoes made by Virgil Abloh in limited edition, or I don't know, Supreme hoodie logo box? So the idea, basically, I think the main idea is that we need to reconnect with the reason why we felt in love at first place with fashion. So reconsider completely the joy to own and wear a clothes that feel you better when you have it, and you can appreciate the quality of the material, and you can stay, I mean, safe and good with that, and not to collect, to just having.
Yeah, what you're saying basically depends on brand to brand, and there cannot be an industry protocol that will kind of follow, because every brand wants to stand out in the uniqueness that they bring in.
Yeah, I think all of the brand will. That's the main innovation. Will create their own schedule and their own way to talk with their customer and to show their collection.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there cannot be a definitive answer for sure. I mean, I think it depends on the brand. Coming to that quickly, you know, this is my personal concern also, that we've been reading a lot, and says that a lot of holding companies and investment houses and a lot of other brands which are not luxury but have the money are on a spree right now to buy the brands that are not doing well. It could be heavy in craftsmanship, could be you know, kind of luxury. Okay, when I say kind of luxury, what I mean is basically rich in craftsmanship but not known on the outside, but they are luxury because they're very confined to certain demographic you know, countries on the boundaries that are there. Okay, but they're very heavy in terms of contents. Do you think that there are other big brands also that are up for now because of operational and financial issues that they're facing? There could be a possibility that these investment houses or the holding companies will buy out these brands. Will it, and if this happens, will it affect the DNA of the brand that is bought or they've acquired? Because the focus is going to change, right? Do you think you see that happening?
Look, inevitably, this is a very difficult moment, and we know for all the industry, and especially in this industry for big corporation, but also for small brand reality. The risk is high, but at the same time, I'm very positive that this crisis is pushing us to be more conscious, let's say aware, and ready to innovate, to some radical changes, because differently it's, I mean, it's very difficult. So for me, the brand don't need to lose their identity. I mean, or they need to change their identity or their DNA. I mean, if there was nothing planned before. I think that differently, it's a moment in which we can reshape, they can re-innovate in a more fast and disruptive way in order to exploring maybe better their know-how and their heritage in order to talk differently with their people.
Right. Very well. Thank you, Francesco. And we have a couple of things in terms of digital strategies. If we get the time, we'll definitely come back and we'll discuss that a little bit in details further. Moving on, one of my creative sectors, one of the most creative sectors, one of my favorites as well, very creative as a sector, infused with craftsmanship. And for me, these products are nothing less than monuments. Okay, we're talking about timepieces. My question to Mr. Sinha would be, once we're back in business, will clients want, or will clients like to walk into the store? And if not, then would you consider online strategies like live streaming, and other digital formats? But because it's all about look and feel and it's more about feeling the product and having the understanding of the mechanism, especially the traditional timepieces. How do you think, how do you envisage that? What is your take on it?
Thank you, Shweb. That's a difficult question to answer, especially for a tactile product like watches, timepieces. You really want to touch and feel those things and understand the things better. But yes, I think the future is that we will have to reach out to the customer in far more ways than we have till now. Till now, it has been come to the store and we will show you the watch and then you buy it. Well, if the customer is not going to walk into the store, then I think there are two things that need to happen. The first one is the store or the product has to reach the customer. And there are many ways to do that, but of course there is the live streaming or the virtual world, as you say, that is one way to do it. But end of the day, it is still a tactile product. I mean, we have virtual boutiques already online for us, for ourselves. So it's not such a difficult thing to do. So the second part of this is the one which I think most of the industry will struggle with for a product which is not so generic in nature like handbags, say for example,
Yes.
is the fact that you may want to take the store to the customer. What does it? Does it mean that we equip a big Mercedes van with a boutique inside? Do we have a mobile boutique? Do we have digital things built into the van, and we take the van to the customer's end and display it there? Do we do smaller events where we have we can control the social distancing, blah blah blah, all that sort of perspectives? I think this is a good time to reinvent. Live streaming, of course, is one of the keystones. Digital is one of the keystones for sure.
Right. So you're talking about a lot of new wave of evolution as what you're saying. Fair. But then what could be the strategies that you think you could build in for the industry in specific? The keystone, like milestones that you think that, that is where we're going to reach now.
Well, I think the luxury industry in general has to adapt to digital far more aggressively than what it has been in the past.
Right.
E-commerce is surely one of them, but I think they will have to adapt to understanding the customer when they can't see the customer, when they can't physically interact with the customer. So I think understanding customer needs is going to be extremely important. The way forward for all luxury groups, for all luxury brands is to, like Francesco said, not forget their DNA. The DNA is what built the brand. The DNA is what lasted the brands from the 1700s through two world wars, through a Holocaust, through a French Revolution, through a Russian Revolution, through many, many, many other things like plague and famines. So I think it's back to the drawing board. Digital, of course, is going to be important, but how do you understand your customer and how does it match with the DNA of your brand? I think that's going to be important.
Since we talk about a lot of digitalization and technology happening now, there could be another concern, perhaps. Primarily, the timepieces is known for traditional mechanical watches. Primarily, that's what the whole focus and the DNA of the industry and other brands are. Do you see a surge of smartwatches, somewhere affecting the sales versus the timepiece, a traditional timepiece or mechanical timepiece? Do you anticipate something of that? So do you anticipate a focus shift from what traditional timepieces were, and is that going to take over the complete market size?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and I think if the luxury industry has to thank one industry, it is the smart watch industry. Ask me why. And
yes,
the reason
very interesting to ask why.
Yeah, the reason is, and it's a contradictory statement. I mean, people will say, the luxury watch industry will be replaced by a smartwatch. I don't think so. It's really helped in the way how the advent of mobile phones, of handheld devices, actually was challenging the watch industry far more, because at that point of time, the watch industry was far more focused on telling the time, right? And with the phones, it no longer became very important. So people forgot that there's something that you can put on the wrist. They had the mobile phone and that was it.
Absolutely.
When the smartwatch came back, I think people started strapping things around the wrist again. So that real estate space was recouped back by a smartwatch. But then, end of the day, a smartwatch is a smartwatch. You go to a party, do you really want to be seen only with a smartwatch always? No, probably not. Maybe yes, maybe not. I mean, it's a matter of choice. But if you have a choice, would you rather not have a good timepiece with you? I'm sure, because for men, while there's of course there's like Megha said, there is makeup available for men also, but the only piece of jewelry for men is a watch. I would say largely a cufflink, a watch. That's it. So what do you do? So I think that's the smartwatch industry has grown the industry, has brought the risk back into the system, and I think the luxury industry should be very happy it's done that. We don't see a threat at all. While all luxury groups have created their digital watches, their not the digital but the connected watches, the smart watches, I'm pretty confident it's not a threat at all.
You're saying basically that it's a responsible way of snubbing that, listen, you know what, I have a timepiece which is mechanical and you got a digital timepiece. Apologies,
Yes.
sir, I don't like it because I'm wearing a digital one. I'm going to remove it soon. Don't worry about that. But that, yes,
Yes.
is that what you're saying it's a marketing strategy? I mean, you could use it as a marketing strategy is what I meant.
Yeah. I think in a subtle way it does be all the time. So
Right.
Yeah.
Just quick understanding on the market, and Sarosh, maybe if you want to add on the digital versus, because we've been having this discussion for quite some time now. The phenomenon, this exact phenomenon, basically, is it going to leverage parallel or counterfeit products, Mr. Sinha?
Interesting. I don't think it's going to do any big leverage. Let's accept a fact. As long as there are brands, there are people who will be able to buy those brands, and as long as there are brands, there will be people for whom that brand will be aspirational.
Okay.
And as long as aspirations are there and affordability is not there, there will be a parallel and a gray market for sure.
Right.
It's been there since time immemorial. It's been there in all segments. So
Given the economic conditions now, you think, I mean, is it going to kind of
No.
force, it's going to kind of hamper the growth?
No, probably not. In fact, to the contrary, because all maisons are going digital, I
Okay.
think it's going to be far more reaching the customer in a better way than just what the parallel market used to do. Of course, if you ask me the question, will the parallel market grow? Will the gray fakes, counterfeits grow? They've always been there. They
And
will be. It's for perfumes, it's for jewelry, it's for watches, it's for bags. And interestingly, there are grades. I mean, there are some people who don't like to be called fakes, while they like to be called replicas. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah, but also I think, sorry, I just want to jump in over here. But also I think people at that level who have already been accustomed to buying luxury products would not want to wear a counterfeit market, product. They would always like to wear the original.
parallel. So that's what the concern is. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just going to add on a point which Megha and Samir are not going to like it. Okay, since he spoke about the aspirations and stuff, I'm not going to name the areas here in Bombay, the south of Bombay. There are some areas you should come and visit it sometimes, and you will actually not. I mean, it's like you kill these guys that are selling Lancome and Kiel and L'Oreal and all those fancy brands that you thought about. Even as a matter of fact, I saw La Prairie, by the way. Okay, and a Givenchy palette for, I don't know, like 500-600 rupees. So yeah, so I think, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but that's across the world. I mean, you go to Hong Kong, you
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
Across the world. That's one of the challenges that we have as an industry, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's always been there and we'll live with it. It's like
I think some industries have bigger challenges than the timepiece industry, the watch industry, for example. The fashion industry, no, but maybe L'Oreal's and the likes have, because it goes onto your skin. So it's also a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the main issues as well that we face, and we're very strict about these regulations in terms of counterfeit. And another way, counterfeit also kind of, it's not a good thing to have, but also a good side of it to see is it increases awareness amongst people, so people get to know the brand.
Okay, I'm not going to
well.
repeat that, but it's kind of, it's a lengthy discussion. But yes,
Yeah, it's a different discussion. Absolutely.
But a short answer: we're not worried. Of course, we counter parallel and gray and counterfeits all the time, but we are not worried about this.
Yes, I think, you know what, the traditional timepieces will actually do not have to worry because of the essence of it, the kind of detailing that has gone in. It's absolutely impossible to replicate, quite literally. So yeah, you're right. Thank you, Mr. Sinha. Just moving forward, we've got frontline activities which are detectable and observable, and then we've got activities which are far more painstaking. And I think you'll agree, moving forward, which are very meticulous activities, which are behind the scenes, precision, and attention to detailing in terms of the key component to luxury is concerned. We have methods whereby we can sell retail, all the other products to retail and distribution. Sarosh, how do you feel, or how do you manage in the sense, like, the forefront is the retail and distribution in terms of all the other products are there, but there are hidden components and hidden detailing that is there, and after sales service is usually least communicated. What is your take on that?
Well, I think you're right on that front, that after sales is usually not in the forefront of things, because I mean, you don't want to sort of you don't want a brand communicating the after sales even before the retail of the product is decided, because of the fact that then you're sort of saying that, oh, I mean, if at all you face a problem, we are always there. Yes, of course, there is a subtle message conveyed across, but you can't put us in the forefront, because that would mean that the brand is not confident of what they produce, pertaining to any quality issue or any functionality issue. But I think that being said, yes, we do form. We do form a certain aspect of the business, because we act as a support system. We act as a support system for the brand represented in the country. We act as a support system for the clients if they face a problem, to the authorized retail network. The idea is not just about a brand making a sale via its authorized retailer. The idea is that they stand for the craftsmanship, the years of experience that they have put into research and development, and finally from a prototype to a commercial production. So usually the brand most of the watch brands, they back their sell with a certain warranty period for any functionality problems which the client can face. And I think certain brands like Cartier, Jaeger-LeCoultre, Panerai, IWC, they've even gone ahead. I mean, this is just a pre-COVID situation. They announced a 2+6 year warranty, which essentially just covers most of the individuals buying their timepieces up to 8 years. So in the after sales service terms, when we look at an objective like that, I mean, for a brand to make a move internationally with an offering like that, shows that they're pretty confident on what they are manufacturing and what they are giving to their patrons.
So just to add on to that, and we'll continue, just what reminds me is, do you think that could be actually used as a marketing tool, saying that, okay, this is how amazing the quality is?
Well, yes. I mean, if you look at the Watches and Wonders launch by Panerai, there's one watch where Panerai has gone ahead and given a 70-year warranty. Right, now, right. Essentially speaking, I'm in my early 40s. I don't know if I'm going to see the next 70 years. But a brand to come forth internationally and say that, oh, I mean, it's like almost covering an average human lifespan for someone to step into the international market and be confident of such a proposition is never been done before.
Right. Now, given that it's so heavy and it's so important, which is parallelly run in terms of the retail and distribution chain, so there are attributes that a brand looks into before appointing, and I think Mr. Sinha will agree here, that that we have an attribute, the whole SOP list of when you appoint somebody, you can actually represent the brand and sell, right?
Yes.
Protocols in terms of a brand, how stringent are they when they appoint someone who is handling the after sales, which is as equally important and parallelly run?
Okay, so first of all, I think the crux of the after sales business is the skilled labor.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we do not have a watchmaking school in India.
Yes.
Okay, so that, though that has it's a deterrent, but it has not stopped us from sort of going ahead, because our partners, we represent roughly around 20 international brands. Most of our partners work very closely with us. Every quarter, a watchmaker goes and studies and upgrades on certain different calibers with certain different brands. For a watchmaker to be sitting on the bench operating anything from Omega and upwards, the average time that it takes a watchmaker to be skilled enough is roughly around anywhere between 15 and 20 years, depending upon his aptitude. So the watchmakers which are with us, an average time span of experience is 25 years and plus.
Okay.
So, I mean,
that's also your matrix. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's you saying that's your matrix as well?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. And the upgrades which are done are essentially for our watchmakers to understand the new developments. The brands are continuously developing more on the existing calibers, making component improvements, certain quality improvements. So these need to be updated. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to look into the problem and essentially give the client the service he deserves.
Okay.
Can I also add a Shoaib, just 30 seconds, is that the criteria for us is extremely stringent for sure. But I think there's another aspect to it beyond the technical, which Sarosh mentioned. It's also the software aspect. The platform, as we call it, which is the customer service platform, is an extension of the organization, of the company, of the maison, the brand. And therefore, the person who runs it, owns it, the interface that they have should also represent in an adequate manner that maison. And therefore, a very good understanding of the customer, of how luxury works. So it's not that if an engineer can come and just put in a service center and we'll be very happy with it. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, so I mean, as Amit pointed out, I mean, when we were in the inception stages, we had roughly around a 40-page outline. It's called the Richemont Conduct Code, and we had to go through all the hoops. But essentially speaking, there's a very positive side to it, because we as a service center in the country, when you put these compliances into place, not only from your operations to the well-being of your team, to the output matrix, you actually take the service level from year to year. So it's essentially, it does not, when, you know, usually when it comes to the watchmaking industry, the Swiss are sort of the reigning nationality in this particular trade. But because we work with them so closely, we can raise the bar and level of service in terms of quality output equally as per their standards. And that's what Amit means over here, that we actually represent the quality that the maison wants to offer to their clientele.
I think it's brilliant, because there's a myth revolving, you know, the after sales service is not as crucial or it's not detailing, but especially in this segment, I think it's extremely important with the detailing and the finesse and the kind of people that are there. The DNA of the brand has to be followed even more than you actually have it in the forefront. And it's
absolutely
complete backbone. And I think, thank you, Sarosh, for this.
And some of our events, we have watchmakers with the watch tables present there always. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen that. I love one of the booths, you know, if I may just add on to that, in Basel, one of the finest that I've seen, of course, all the brands are really amazing, but one of the finest that I see is Patek Philippe. You know, they have those magnifying glasses, they have all the movements spread across, but there are many other brands that do that. But that's one of those most intriguing facts, that, you know, they have the detailing kind of there, and even Breguet for that matter. So there are a lot of, I think, yeah, what you're saying is absolutely relevant and right. And thanks to the 40-pager SOP, which I think.
So I'll just add, I'll give a very simplistic viewpoint over to all the audience that we have with us this evening. At an average, if you sort of convert the functionality of a watch, okay, and if you convert it in terms of distance, if you compare a watch to an automobile usually runs roughly around 10 to 15,000 kilometers annually, okay. If you convert the same principle, if you measure to what the watch actually works, it's roughly around 8,000 kilometers annually. Yeah. You service your car once a year, all right? You have to service your mechanical timepiece every 4 years, okay? So when people say that, but why would I want to sort of maintain my timepiece? My friend, you have to maintain your timepieces because of the fact that it's doing 34,000 kilometers in 4 years. You need to regenerate the timepiece. Yeah, yeah.
And some of them are more expensive than cars, huh? So
Yeah.
that's the lighter side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just to quickly add on to what we are saying, okay, comparing the caliber and the engine type and stuff. So do you think, just like any other industry, place utility for after-sales service in terms of the location and logistic channels are equally important?
Yes and no. Yes, being said for the fact that yes, if you're centrally located, like in Mumbai, we are at Prabhadevi. So I guess we sort of come in between the north and the south. So the approach is not that difficult. But that being said, we work with all our authorized retailers and the channel partners pan India. All we need to do is put the watch in a secured case, insure it, and it comes to us, and that's the way the logistics works. And we're pretty proficient on that.
Logistics also is an equally important part because of the expensive of the product's pricing and the way it needs to be taken care of, right? So
If the insurance and the safety of the package is maintained, then I don't think there are any problems. I think those are the two crucial components in that.
You look into the protocol as well, right?
I'm sorry?
You look into the protocol as well, isn't
Yes,
it?
yes.
Very well. Thank you, Sarosh.
Welcome.
And
Thank you.
a couple of things, once we have, I mean, I'm telling everybody will come back. I don't know who all we're going to go back to, but yeah, we'll figure that out soon. My further take would be that yes, we want to look good, and we want to have a complete makeover, get back to normalcy is what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys find me okay, but it's been a mess. Okay, and thank God that I'm recognizable today, but it's been a while that it was not so great. But it's also the fact that you emotionally want to feel better as well, right? So we come to talk about the wellness in spa and beauty related, Mr. Srivastav. Once it opens up, okay, once everything is back to normal, you will see an influx of people flocking in and kind of coming in for all the things that they want to do and all the fancy stuff and everything that you offer, which is niche and which is everything which is related to not just grooming but also well-being. If I'm not now, how do you anticipate this? What is the influx that you're anticipating, and how are you operationally going to meet? You have a very high standard in your salon and your spa. You actually have a very strict protocol. How are you going to see to it that it is being met? And also, the most important thing now will be the hygiene. They're like doctors. They're like clinics and they're like doctors. So how are you going to kind of maintain that? And do you think you're going to be wearing all those, very difficult?
No, I'll help you answer out that. I think first of all, everybody is looking very, very sharp and very cool here, I must say. Of course, the Italian gentleman always is there, and so the lady from all the way from France. But I think we're not looking that bad. Huh? We're letting the hair grow naturally and devoid of any products, devoid of any treatments. I think just even Sarosh has got a very cool hairstyle done.
Mine grew faster.
I mean,
so what's happening? No, you're looking sharp too. I think I love the ponytail bit.
It can be visible,
but I think yes. See, typically, what's going to happen for us is so first part of your question is that yes, look, it's a release for all of us. Going to a salon, getting a massage done, getting a hair wash done, getting not necessarily a hygiene service like a haircut, but spending those a couple of hours away in the salon is definitely a mental release, and all of us look forward to going there, irrespective of whatever. Whether men go there for lesser, women go there for more number of times. But I think it is a release, and it's much awaited.
Okay.
Because you just want to get there and you want to get pampered, because all the insecurities which have been going around in all our lives mentally. I hope it's not true with anybody of us, but I think people are wanting to come and experience that part. Massages have always been a very high level of quotient on the wellness, wellness angle for sure. I mean, apart from the therapeutic benefits, there are also these feel-good benefits. So I think services will definitely explode. Now, how are we as a brand prepared to handle that demand? I mean, that's a challenge which we've been facing, because what's happening for us is that being a multinational brand, hygiene was really right up there for us. It's been one of the tenets of the business, and we've been particularly proud of the fact that, cleanliness and hygiene has been very important to us. There are a bit of challenges. What is happening is there's a shift in consumer behavior. A consumer who used to go to the neighborhood salons is now wondering, is it the safe place for me to go anywhere? So we have been grappling with this idea that keeping into mind the new normal, the way lesser number of hours, the way limited capacities, limited work hours, how do you first cater to your existing clientele and then bring in new clientele? So there are lots of ways and means going about in our minds, and I think we're getting the strategy ready. Obviously, we'll cater to our existing set of customers, our loyal customers in the first phase. Women will be given preferences for sure. I think they make up 70% of my business, so obviously I've got to take care of them. I think a little more hygiene habits are there, hygiene needs are there in women, and we'd love to take care of them in the first round. Men, yes, obviously can wait a little. Including all the ones on the panel, but we'll get you taken care also, guys.
Yeah, but you always
sorry?
You always do that.
Yeah, we'll have to do that because 30% of traffic definitely is men, but then services can be much faster for men.
Yeah.
We're also anticipating a bit of just like what Amit was earlier saying, that do you see the store going to the consumer?
Yeah.
I think there is already a demand which we are anticipating of the salon going home. Not for two reasons, because I'm more safer there, right? Yeah, sure.
But you sure it's that safer? Just to add on to the point that you think, but can you maintain the same standards when you kind of go, because you got to carry everything, all the equipments, all the products. But do you think that match is possible?
I think you'll never get a salon experience at home for sure, but I think you'll get at least 8 out of 10 boxes ticked. For brands like us, where we rely on a lot of international practices and international products, we're okay up there. You can get products for monodoses which are only opened in front of you and disposed in front of you. The levels of hygiene for our workforce is much higher, and a lot of training has been going on in the last couple of weeks. But yes, you'll never get that experience. So when you can't do everything at home, at least, but 7 out of 10 things you can do.
There's a surge happening in this. Do you think there is going to be a demand of such a sector, such a service actually increasing?
Well, I beg your pardon, I lost you on that. Wait.
At home service, increase.
So we already have a not a full blown, but a very successful pilot going on for beauty services at home in Bombay only for our privileged set of clients. We will continue offering it only to our clients. We do not intend to take it to other consumers at this moment. I think on demand is going to step up. A couple of weeks ago, there was a bit of a rumor saying that salons and spas are getting open, and we were jammed with appointment requests. And surprisingly, 45% of the calls were for people wanting to do services at home.
Right.
So there is a big shift in consumer behavior.
Is it because of the current scare that they have? Is that what it implies upon?
Yes, I think so. That's there because people will want to get on with the basic hygiene services now. Whether I want to take a risk and go to a salon, no matter how well it is sanitized and how well it is protected, but still I'm going to go in a confined space. The fact of the matter remains that it's a confined space. So I would prefer from a reputed brand like JCB, which is well known for its hygiene and the steps that we are going to introduce. So let me get the hairdresser, my favorite hairdresser, home and come do my service. So there is a big shift in consumer behavior for sure.
You think that from a social hangout, this could become basically very personal?
It would initially, till the time things come back to normal. I don't know how Diwali is going to look like. We're already looking at projections around Diwali, which is a very important part of the Indian festival calendar. The marriage season sets in. A lot of changes are going to happen for sure. But I think there is going to be a shakeout also, which I expect in the industry for happening. The smaller players, with due respect to them, this industry has fed me for many, many years. I don't want to sound mean, but I think there is bound to be a shakeout at the lower end of the segment for sure.
You're operationally ready to kind of envision that, and you're ready to kind of take that challenge up and the changes that might happen.
Yes, I think for the past many, many weeks, almost 40 out of the 56 odd days that we've been locked down, we've been doing protocol training. We're ready. The fingers of the people are twitching. I think we're a very high touch people business. So we're waiting for all these best practices to come in. We've also learned from our headquarters in France. France has opened earlier on the week and the salons were packed, I'm told. I think Megha can add to that, which is great news. I think even in Spain and even in Italy, salons have been doing extremely well, not because from a need basis, but also from a, from just one of that social hangout. When I want to get out, I want to get a nice haircut done, I want to get a nice blow dry done and move on. So I think India also is headed to that way. A couple of places in India have opened up. Gurgaon has opened up. I believe some good news is going to flow in from Karnataka this evening. Yeah. Bombay, unfortunately, will have to wait a little longer. But yes, a couple of more weeks and we should be about there.
Do you really think that the emotional touch point could be one of the reasons that the sector will perform better?
Yeah. Like I told you earlier, that it's not just for the external beauty, but there's also inner well-being sense which comes into play for human beings. I mean, you get a nice haircut, you get nice makeup, you get lovely nail polish. It gives a kicker effect to your mental, it uplifts you by many, many notches up. A great haircut and you come out and you say, somebody says, hey, looking very sharp. It does wonders to your confidence. So I think there is a very strong emotional connect also, sure.
Perfect. Not everybody will want, your experts to come home.
Yes.
But there's a possibility that, a lot of people would want to have the salon experience because they're in the house. So they would want to kind of go out and explore a little bit more emotionally and also practicality. How will you manage those long queues? Because people might not want to want to stay, in long queues or wait there. How are you tactically kind of prepared to do that?
So we've been, it's a little premature for me to disclose, but we've been working with a very, very popular platform. And in a couple of days' time, we will be announcing advanced bookings, just like we do movie tickets for our clients. You can book your favorite haircut, you can book your favorite service and have your coupon ready. So that allows crowd management. We're also looking at long differentiated working hours. So, you open earlier, there are sets of consumers who want to come early in the morning, finish off the services and go back to the safety of their home or offices. There are also sets of consumers who want to come in later at night. So there obviously hours are going to get extended. Crowd management, token systems, no walk-ins, appointment bookings are the only things which are the way forward, at least for the first 45 days or so.
Do you think that's going to hurt you financially because of the influx of people that come in?
Well, financially, we've been hurt we were the first brand to shut even before the government lockdown, because for us, safety for clients and consumers and workforce is very important. We shut as early as 15. It's been tough times for sure, because there are not a very high profitability, and for brands like us, which occupy very high prominent locations in Bombay, Bangalore, and the workforce is very skilled and very highly compensated. It is going to hurt for sure, but yes, we've revisited the financial model. We've done whatever cost corrections we need to do. But yes, I think if everything goes well, October, November is when we should bounce back, and it should help us recovery.
I'm sure, and best wishes. And I'm sure that
thank you.
What I understand is basically quality over quantity is
absolutely. I think that's what will remain. We will not be open for everybody. Very, very, very careful in choosing the client.
I think it's perfect because of the kind of brand name that you have and the protocols that you follow. Just very quickly,
sure.
Reminds me of the fact that your future studies, I'm sure if you don't want to disclose it, if you don't want to talk much about it, it's fine. But it's just the crux of the problem is that you might be in malls at times. You think that the way forward could be standalone, given the fact that there could be, I don't know, of course, this is a temporary situation, but you think as a strategy, standalone could actually perhaps be better than anything else? Any other format?
Actually, no. I think our mall partners are now, whether for the salon industry, I'll speak for general and for JCB. I think mall partners have been very, very good for us. The consumer footfall is in malls. I think malls can be much more regulated than open streets. And I've been listening to a lot of strategies from the Phoenix Group. I've been listening to a lot of other brand partners, mall partners in Delhi, etc. They're talking about the fact that, they can regulate the mall traffic extremely well. Checks can be far more stringent than compared to in high street, where the entire onus is on us. So I don't think we're going to shift the model dramatically. Malls will continue to be a great source of partnership for us.
Yes, perhaps it's just a temporary situation.
Yes, I believe so, temporary. Yes.
Goes as what we anticipate, and there are no further hurdles that,
No, fingers crossed.
Thank you very much. Thank you again, Gaurav. Firstly, thank you for being so patient and waiting for such a long time. I'm really, really thank you. I think one of the segments that will also emotionally nurture us is hospitality.
Absolutely.
I think we are all waiting to that escapade that, when will I get to go to those places, and when will I get to go out of the house rather more than anything else. The first thing is, what do you think of the current scenario in the luxury hospitality industry? What do you think is the current situation? Because I'll just give you an example just to add on to what I was saying, that some of the very fine hotels basically have been converted into residences for doctors.
Yeah.
It's been co-shared and, very kind. I think Taj Lands End is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're giving a very hefty subsidy, and they are kind of, paying from their pocket to that's a great gesture. Going forward, what is the current situation, and what do you think? To add on to that question is, how will it cope up after the lockdown? Because of the occupancy rates are pretty bad.
Yeah. No, thank you, Shoaib, and thank you to the panel. Thank you for everyone who joined us. I know a lot of my industry colleagues are there, so a big hi to them. As far as the hospitality industry is concerned, Shoaib, we work largely on the 5 elements to ensure that all your 5 senses are kind of taken care of. So if that's kind of summarizing what hospitality is all about, that's what it really is. And when it comes to the contribution of the industry to the economy, it's about 10% to your GDP. So is it important? Very. How many people are employed? About 38 crore people. So it's a massive industry. We at Enhanced Hospitality basically look after the outbound business, but I will answer your question, Shoaib, as far as what we're going to do. But just to give you a little background on what we do, right? So we look after the outbound business, and a lot of our hotels we were the first ones to kind of shut down, and we're going to be the last ones to kind of recover, in the sense that hotels, airlines were the first ones which went under the bus, and we're going to be the last when everything opens up. You're going to have your groceries, you're going to have your beauty products, you're going to have your watches, and probably hotels are going to be at the last end, because we are particularly involved in this entire restructuring process. The contribution is big. The numbers are very large, Shoaib. So about 30 million tourists travel outbound from India. So that's about 3 crore people going out every year.
People going
1.5 coming in.
Talking about people going from India to abroad, right?
3 crore people go from India every year abroad, and about 1.5 crore come in. Okay. So in terms of revenue generation, in terms of the amount of money that's moving into the system, it's quite large. Okay. Where is the industry right now? And particularly luxury is about 15% of that. So it's about 50 lakh people which are largely in the luxury segment. So if I have to really curtail 3 crore, about 50 lakh constitutes still in the luxury, which is about 15%. Yeah. So when you talk about this 15%, which is luxury, at the moment, the industry, of course, will need solutions, and we're working on different solutions. We have some awesome brands, iconic brands that we work with as well. Travel is largely in 2 or 3 different segments. So there is business travel, which is very important. So if you and I need to travel for business, that will be the first segment that will make a comeback. Okay. Leisure can wait, but business will come back first. And we see leisure coming back immediately after that, because all of us being humans are going to be really tired out. I was listening to what Sameer was saying, and he's right. I mean, you need a nice haircut, you need beauty products, you need watch on your hand, you need to go out, you need to feel emotionally well about yourself. So if I have to really sum it up, there are 3 words which are going to be very, very important for us: hygiene, safety, and the feel-good factor, right? So when it comes to safety and security issues, first things that you're going to ask is, if I and my family are going to enter into a hotel, is it all right? That's the first question that everyone's going to ask. Am I safe? Am I secure? The luxury industry is better poised to handle this question vis-a-vis, let's say, standalone hotels, or let's say standalone, because they don't have the kind of investment and the know-how. Luxury hotels are built for 20 and 30 years in their mind. When you do the financials, they were not built for 1 or 2 years. They were not built for 2020. They were built in 2000. They were built in 2030, and 2020 is 1 year in that. So it's a very resilient industry. We've seen 9/11, 26/11, SARS, Ebola. It's a very, very resilient industry. So I see it bouncing back.
So you're saying that they are ready for, so they're not going to get into a cash trap in very layman terms.
I think it's a matter of, like I say, for the luxury brands, the planning is more long term, vis-a-vis, let's say, short term opportunities of, let's say, you want to, put a tech platform and connect hotels there because you're not sure of the quality. Whereas if you're a luxury brand, so you're more equipped to handle these situations.
Right. So the levels of occupancy rate dropping will not affect them in the long run, at least for not for now.
Well, the way we look at it is comeback should start from September, October, just like Sameer says. And then we look at about 6 to 7 quarters in terms of financials kind of stabilizing, because it takes that much time, because at the moment, like you said, everything is in quarantine centers, that goes off, then everything comes back again. Answers on safety and security are taken care of. Luxury brands are already preparing. I have a few of the hotels who've already made marketing videos on how safety and hygiene is taken care of. Let me put it this way. Let's say you want to go to the Maldives, and we represent Lux Resorts in Maldives, right? What are you looking at? What you're looking at is a sense of space, a sense of hygiene. And if you have an independent villa that can take care of it, you don't mind getting into a charter flight that lands you into Mamigili Airport. You take a seaplane into your resort, you get out there and you enjoy it with your family, and you're able to come back. So it really depends on which segments will recover first, vis-a-vis some which will take longer. But I think it is, like I say, it's a resilient industry. It has built in these systems because we know that there are some world events which will, whether we like it or not, but world wars have happened, famines have happened, events which are not in our control have happened. So to answer your question, yes, luxury hospitality will make a comeback, and I feel it's going to be a liquor kind of a scenario where there'll be a time when people will actually just want to be in a hotel or a resort because they are so tired of what's happening around.
I love that. I'd love that. Believe me.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time.
I'm really sorry that I bring up P&L all the time. I'm a bit greedy.
Sure.
That's why my mind focused that way. But yeah, how will you think, given the scenario, international brands are going to market their properties globally? What would be the strategy on that?
Right.
Only strategy?
Yeah, I think for most international brands, and we cater to the international brands when it comes to marketing them in the India market, first things that they're looking at right now is to make sure that, like I said, hygiene, safety, am I going to be safe? Is my family going to be safe? Is to be able to answer those questions. And that is basically tying up with companies which provide them. Also, you have to imagine when you enter into a hotel or resort, if you're going to be sprayed with something that says you are sanitized, you just want, if you're a luxury customer, you don't want to walk in without knowing that, hey, is it natural? Is my kid who's probably 3 years old, is he or she safe? So, these are questions that are being answered by other allied industries for us, and taking care of that element first.
Yeah, I think that's where Sameer and Mega come in. Their
Yes.
brands come up with those kind of products that are actually luxury, and then kind of takes care of the hygiene as well.
Absolutely. And when it comes to the 5 senses, I mean, they are major contributors, right? So it has to smell good. It has to have that identity which says that, yes, I know it's secure. And once security is taken care of, then the rest will follow.
Mr. Sinha, Sarosh, and Francesca are going to say, okay, it should not actually, that spray should not even deter the quality of the product that they're wearing. It should not oxidize, and it should not affect that as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This thing is go buy a product.
I'm sorry?
Go buy a product.
What could be some of the best practices of the luxury hotels in the world going forward? I mean, everybody has a punchline, right? So what would be the best practices now?
I think most hotels, and I will talk about business separately, leisure separately, and weddings separately, because there are 3 very clear areas. When it comes to business, Shoaib, business will happen. I mean, if a CEO of a company needs to come from Dubai to India, let's say close the deal for the Dubai Expo, which was supposed to happen this year, but is now postponed next year.
Right.
It will need to happen. And when that travel does open up, and when those meetings come up, they will be the first set who will move around. Of course, social distancing, the norms, all of that will have to be taken care of. So that's going to be the first segment that opens up. The immediate next segment that opens up is leisure, which is domestic. You go to a 10-kilometer radius, then you start moving 50, then you start moving 100, and then probably 5,000 kilometers. So when it comes to best practices, to answer your question, most hotels will look at, and are in fact looking at, safety, security, tying up with luxury brands who can provide the safety and security element. The digital platform is very strong. I know of, hotels is such a touch and feel product, right? I mean, you go to a resort to experience the beach. You go to a resort to have a very nice spread of a buffet breakfast in the morning. And when you have to do that with social distancing, then the luxury of space is going to be very, very important.
Right.
So when it comes to resorts, they do have that slight advantage when it vis-a-vis, let's say, business hotels, because they have that luxury of space where they can really manage this far better than, let's say, a business hotel. But I know that when it comes to business hotels, they are taking all these factors into account. And we're also seeing that this is a 3 month, 6 month, 9 month, whatever, right? But at some stage, everything will come back to normal, right? The new normal will come back to the old normal someday.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I'm just going to bring back Megha very quickly into this discussion, and I think if we have the time, we will also bring back the question that what would be the new norms for the international travelers coming to India, right?
Yeah.
We'll come back to that in case we sort of have time. Megha, most of all, we were discussing that the concept of testers, and I think Samir also can add on to this concept. Do you think the try before buying is going to end soon because offline is no more going to be there as evident as there? You think that's a dying trend of buying, getting testers, using them? It's primarily, as you said, you had a very interesting point that testers could be sent home. Okay. Now, you think that logistically it could actually have a lot of stress on the on the brands because you're spending a lot of money, right? But do you think there's a dying trend of buying or try before you buy?
Shoaib, over here, I think the first thing that we did once we announced the COVID regulations was to remove all the testers from all the stores across the world, and that was done in a span of less than 1 week, where all the testers were taken off shelf. However, I don't think that the trend of testers is going to die. It's something that is very essential when you're buying a new product for yourself or when you're gifting it to someone. Trying has always been part of also the experience. And this is where I see where all these small mini packages that you're getting right now of 10 ml, 15 ml are going to start working better than the bigger products. And this is where probably we need to look into how to optimize the logistics and production at the same time. Because yes, when you're producing 100 ml or 50 ml or 200 ml, it's much more profitable rather than producing a 10 or 15 ml packaged product. However, I think going forward, we need to adapt ourselves and find solutions, and also to be sustainable, because you don't want to create a lot of plastics around the world as well, to see how we can, adapt to the COVID. And this is something that of course, we are working on right now.
Do you think it's going to come down? The trend is going to reduce, or you're going to less invest in them? Or how does it?
No, I don't think we are going to invest less in them, because we are going to still continue making testers. I'm sure, one day when someone invents a vaccine for COVID, coronavirus, that's the day that everything is going to come back to normal. Yeah. And again, you're going to come back to using the same testers as you did before. So that will come back. But in the interim time, we need to find different solutions, which we are.
Temporary situation is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes.
Is that what?
Yeah, I think it's not the end of the world. I'm sure. And we're very smart companies. L'Oreal is one of them. I think Unilever, Estee Lauder, all these guys who are right up in the cosmetics business will come up, and if not very soon, with very smart strategies of not letting the business go down at all. There is a temporary blip for sure. Like somebody asked me also on the chat, that do you see makeup services? I see, yeah, makeup services and products could take a temporary dive, but I'm sure we'll come back to it. And like Megha said, the day vaccine gets invented for the larger issues of mankind, to help mankind, I think it's a matter of time before it's going to come back. But with due respect, and what it's going to teach in India is much higher levels of hygiene and safety, which is what we will benefit from, as what happens in best practices like the Middle East or in Europe or in UK or in the US. I think those best practices will come in, and there will be a definite, India will move up the chain as far as safety and hygiene is concerned, which is a great thing to happen.
Right. I'm not going to say tricky, but it's a very complicated question. Might not have a direct answer to. Open to all panelists, basically. It depends on the arena. It depends on your field of expertise. You can, give your insights accordingly. We are initially going to move on to essentials, right? Instead of aspirational, it is going to be a little bit of essentials. Do you anticipate that there are smaller brands, okay, that could kind of, take the market share away from the very high-end brands if it's temporarily, but once that habit is formed, maybe there could be a surge of sales in terms of revenue is concerned, or you feel that the high-end brands might kind of segment themselves into those categories that could be a little bit of entry price. Do you think any of these happening? I mean, especially let's say beauty, for example. Just give you an example. Okay, that there are a lot of standalone brands and beauty brands that are very good in quality. They might not be strong in terms of marketing or brand image or brand name is there, but they are good in quality. Especially South Korean brands and there are other brands in various parts of the world. They have very less operational expenditure, or they do not have a huge equity that they're worried about. But they can actually, since they are good in quality, they might sell more. Do you think that bigger brands might follow suit and take a step down and say, let's kind of come up with this kind of a product? Similarly with watches, instead of a tourbillon, maybe they could come with a skeleton, or maybe they would think that instead of a 360,000 vibration, maybe you could come with a 36,000 vibration, then and so on and so forth. Or buying something which is primarily a Swiss movement, maybe go to some other country and say, okay, we can actually infuse that in it. Does it kind of, first of all, is it, you anticipate this is something that can have happened?
So, sure, just tell me something. What car do you drive?
Okay, look, I expected that coming in, but yeah, not a very fancy car, but it's an Honda City.
Okay, so Honda City. So I guess the nature of our being is to always look ahead, no matter what our circumstances are. If I don't have the money, if I'm going to concentrate on the essentials, if I'm cash strapped for business right now, this is a temporary situation that we are sort of the world is going to try to sort of get out of. Okay, but it's never going to be this way, that saying, you know what, after this whole pandemic, my viewpoints of life have changed, and I'm going to sort of not use a Honda City anymore, and I'm going to go down to maybe a Maruti or a Fiat or something like that. No, it goes against the nature of humans, which is naturally to aspire. That being said, as far as the watch categories are concerned, even pre-COVID, okay, when we have the whole debate of the smart watches versus the traditional Swiss mechanical watches, okay, please understand, it's a notification device. Okay, so today the notification devices are more adaptable to your wrist. Very soon that technology is going to get integrated in your eyewear, or probably something behind your ear, or something or the other. So in terms of a traditional aspect, as Amit said, I don't want to wear a notification device when I'm going out socially. I'm going to aspire to start with a Rolex or an Omega, move levels up till I sort of reach where I want to go. And I think that's the base. It comes from our core. We always want something better for ourselves. So if
I'm just to rephrase or extend this a little bit. Okay, the perception was the larger perspective of the economic situation, not basically onto skewed down or maybe to a certain segment of the society, but largely, because at the end, I wanted to refer to, you're absolutely right with what you said, that the aspirations, of course, people will not change, but the overall economic situation, we're talking about the large aspect of how the economy is governed, or how the whole thing is being driven. Do you think that's
I think
industry-wide?
So I'll quickly tell you this. I mean, if you look at the December or Jan figures of the Swiss exports, okay, you will see that the numbers have declined, but the value has increased.
Perfect.
That only shows, okay, that the category which sells you a 500 to a 5,000 Swiss franc watch, okay, those numbers have actually taken a hit, whereas the value proposition has grown because of the fact that people are spending on more expensive timepieces. Now, when you look at that particular segment, okay, they are not going to be affected because they've not done business for two months or 3 months. Okay. When luxury is not a necessity. From a necessity standpoint, there is a completely different spectrum and a completely different conversation to that. But I think as far as as Samir pointed out, I mean, I'm actually waiting to go out and get a proper haircut. My wife has been cutting my hair since the past 2 months at home, and I think she's doing a brilliant job. But still, you know, I still need to go out. So I don't think, yes, there could be a temporary halt. And I think it's more to do with the point that, yes, we are still not assured, because I speak to my friends in Dubai, and they said that, okay, I mean, you guys can go out, you can get back to work, but I don't think people want to go back to work right now because they are not too sure to what can happen to them. Right. So while it may, while a certain percentage of it is stigmatic, while a certain percent of it is paranoia, whatever, but I think it is just about ironing up the creases. And I think the next 2 months will sort of set the parameters for us to how we can be better protected, how we can travel better, how we can work better, how we can meet people better. So I think it's just about ironing those creases out. And I think it'll just be back to normal. It's like you have a fractured hand, you have to wait till the cast comes off. And once the cast is out, you're going to try and do as what you used to do.
That's precisely the point that I wanted to make.
Shoaib, I would like to just, sorry, Shoaib, I would like to just add one point over here. I think it's good that, that coronavirus has, this entire situation that is being created has made us stop and think a little bit, and also kind of relook into the consumerism aspect. So of course, yes, I think there would be a self-awareness whether, when you're buying 10 t-shirts a month, do you really need to buy 10 t-shirts a month, or can you survive within 2 t-shirts, So I think there would be definitely a bit of awareness that would come in. However, being humans, I think we go back to our old habits, and consumerism is going to come back to normal when things go back to normal. So that is one thing from consumer point of view. Coming back to the brand part, which you asked, whether brands are going to come down in the pricing. In terms of luxury brands, I don't think so, because this is completely against their principle of coming below in terms of quality. You pay the price.
Your pricing, I meant to say, basically, do you think that like the new brands that are coming up, which already has a void, especially beauty, for example, okay, I understand
yes,
it will never be replaced with certain things. There are a lot of brands will come with different segmentation, but especially with beauty, do you think that they might come up with a new segment?
I think we already do have those segments in our portfolios. When you look at, especially when I'm talking about the L'Oreal Group, we do have entry-level products starting from our consumer product division, and then we have our luxury division. Up to that, we have 32 brands, and then we are looking forward to also acquiring new brands that would fill in the price gaps. So over here, what is going to happen is, as you said, yes, there are many beautiful brands in Korea, in India, even in the United States, for that matter. And I think this situation, which is going to be a little bit of, many companies are undergoing a hit on their cash flows as of today. They're getting on the verge of bankruptcy as well. So this is a good time for M&As, right, for big groups like L'Oreal and Estée Lauder.
You see that happening. You see that consolidation happening.
Yes, there is a lot of things.
Which is not so visible, and they'll outright buy it. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes. This thought, the M&A probably might go up in terms of the curve. So that, for the brands.
Francesco did not like, I think, what you just said, that out of 10 t-shirts you'll buy 2 because he does. Don't worry.
Yeah. No, I'm agree. I'm completely agree.
Do you think that affects the industry as well because of the buying propensity? You think that also could be sensible buying also could take in place?
Absolutely. I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, because, for example, instead of you start becoming more conscious of the quality of the product rather than owning 10 or 20 things which probably just fill in your cupboard. at home. So when you're talking, and that's the reason I would like to put in 100 or 200 or 500 euros on one product that will last for probably 5 years, rather than buying something that I have to just throw out in the next couple of months after a couple of washes.
Mega is not at all happy. So I think, you know what, you do not kind of say that more, because he's very upset that, you know, you're going to throw it in the
No, I'm supporting the luxury brands over here, because that's how that's how the quality standards are meant. I'm talking more about the Zaras and H&Ms and Mangoes, you know.
Designing more of a Versace and you're saying let's buy less. You know?
No, Versace, of course, the quality is amazing of Versace. So over here.
What do you think, you know, this smart buying, or I would say smart buying, or I would say, you know,
responsible buying
rather. Do you think that concept could kind of increase a little bit, where people thinking, or the consumers thinking that I don't need this today? Especially the apparel brands and the other products. Do you think that can happen? Am I audible to you, Francesco?
Sorry. Look. I think yes, definitely yes. It's the reality, as Mega said. The reality. I mean, nothing gonna change for let's say big brands, but in terms of customer, it's evident that their approach is completely different. Maybe there is a kind of filter that allow us to live differently, choose differently, select things in a different way. And brands are still there. There is a good opportunity in the market right now, and I think it's linked to what I said before. So the needs at the moment is not anymore the timeline related to the market, but the needs are the people, what we really need and what really needs in this period. So yeah, that can be the filter.
I think this key survival rather than aspirations, you know, what is best suited and best needed for now. We'll see what we need a little later on. Is that what you're saying? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly see if there are any questions that we can kind of answer. And I think it's on the panel of whoever wants to kind of ask a question. We might not be able to take all of them, but yeah. So one question is, a lot of luxury brands and conglomerates are filing for bankruptcy, which is a major concern for not the companies, but aspiring students. What can we as students expect in terms of being hired and seeking opportunities after the lockdown is over? Pretty tricky question, I think. We all sail the same boat, rather. Okay, but yeah, I mean, is there any take that you'd like to kind of add on to that?
I think over here, we should always know that since centuries, you know, I'm sure I think it was Amit who mentioned it. Since 1700s, there have been luxury brands that have been born, and many of them have died in the process. So this cycle will keep going on unless you belong to a big group such as LVMH or Richemont or Kering. So once you're part of these kind of conglomerates, yes, you do survive. But then if you're not, then not really. However, coming to the French, and I'm sure Francesco over here, you can support me on Italian brands, the government has made certain regulations and they support the luxury brands from going bankrupt. So I see that there are a lot of plans in France that have been put in place where the small luxury brands can apply for loans at a very, very minimal interest rate for the period of 10 years. So this kind of helps these luxury brands not to go bankrupt over here. Coming to the job situation, yes, I'm sorry, it's a pandemic. It's something that, you know, it's not in our hands. But yes, there is a hiring freeze this year with as in every industry. It's not just luxury, where people are not really recruiting anymore. So hopefully, at least in companies like LVMH and L'Oreal and Richemont, where people are safeguarding the jobs, like L'Oreal has announced that there will be 0% firing, you know, no person will be fired during the COVID season. This is something that is very, very important. But hiring, I think it would start opening only next year. This year would be difficult.
maybe it's going to be there is an improvement of let's say the hiring session in instead to do more contract. I don't know how to say classical contract.
Yes.
Maybe the trend is gonna go like more through a consultant to a project, because it's more easy for a company to work directly for small reality with small reality or with consultants. So maybe that's that's an opportunity, I think, for all the consultants in all the different industry out there, especially for I mean a creative and luxury industry as you guys.
Yeah.
True.
To suggest that all the students out there, of course, they jobs in the future. Take this time to add some new skills.
Absolutely.
Learn definitely new skills. If you have the possibility, learn a new language. It always helps in the luxury industry. Learn some skills which will help you understand your customer better. Yes, jobs are a challenge today, but I think use this as an opportunity rather than getting worried about having a job.
True. I completely agree, Amit, on this part, because one is when you're doing an MBA or you're studying in your school, the best thing is to take time to understand what you're good at and where you can really contribute more and how you can strengthen your capabilities, what you're good at actually. And then next year you'll be prepared to, in a stronger way to come back into the field.
Yeah, I think it's the connection between the learning outcomes with what the real life is all about. I think that's most important. And that would be my closing comments, that yes, the time is such that, luxury as an industry will remain luxury. There is no change of DNA of whatsoever happens. Perhaps, there could be there could be a little bit slow down. That's fine, but it doesn't deter to what the DNA is all about. And for the industry overall, I think this time is to unlearn and learn. Learn newer things and newer strategies, and something which focuses on different and new channels, perhaps. I think that's thank you very much. You guys have been amazing. Really thank you and really appreciate. Thank you, Lipi, and thank you once again, and thank you once again to the entire panel. Great insights, and I think people listening to us will definitely have different or rather fresh perspectives from what has been discussed. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, NF.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Shoaib.
Thank you.
NIFT. Now, I would like to first and foremost thank Shoaib, and I really can't thank you enough for helping us put this together and handholding me throughout the whole process. We couldn't have really done it without you. And thank you all the panel members for sharing your insights and giving us enough food for thought while we are still stuck at home. I would especially like to thank Mr. Salve for providing us the and I would also like to extend my thanks to two FMS students, Kriti and Ankita, who have toiled long hours making this work the way it has worked today. My gratitude is also due to Director Mumbai, our campus academic coordinator, Jomi sir, and the entire FMS team for lending their support and cooperation. And finally, the audience who joined us today, without whom we could not have been able to do that. Thanks a lot.
Lipi, do we get e-bouquets? Like, we don't have a proper bouquets.
Yeah, I'll send digital bouquets to everybody.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Safe.
Ciao, ciao.
You too, Mega. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Ciao, Shoaib.